Inside PressBox is presented by Freedmont Mortgage. Don't make a 30-year mistake by choosing the wrong lender. Go to Freedmont.com now for all of your mortgage needs. And welcome to another edition of Inside PressBox. I'm your host and the publisher of all things PressBox, Stan the Fan Charles. We thank you for tuning into this week's program. And we've got Pimlico handicapper Frank Carulli will be back with us for another installment of our MJC betting tips, where we'll learn the most basic wager of all, the win, place, or show. And before we head out to Sagamore Farms for a look at our photo of the week, we'll check in with Caps Redline and another unique look behind the scenes of the Washington Capitals. I'll also be joined later by PressBox's Paul Folkemer, the man who's been keeping an eye on all things Orioles for PressBox and our website, PressBoxOnline.com. But first, East Baltimore residents may know him as the proprietor of Santoni's Market, the place they frequent for their weekly groceries. His friends on Facebook know him as Supermarket Man, but Rob Santoni is also a runner, and as such, he was quite literally in the line of fire just 2 weeks ago, as he was one of the 17,580 Boston Marathon participants to cross the finish line. We all know what we've seen on the TV news and from talk radio and the newspapers, but have you heard what it was like from someone who was there, an eyewitness? We welcome my friend Rob Santoni. And Rob, we do appreciate a couple weeks past.
Sure, my pleasure, Stan.
It's a great touch. You're wearing your Boston Marathon shirt, which you earned by finishing. Tell me a little bit about, before we talk Boston, your running career, because at one time, were you into speed running?
I was into middle distance running. I started in high school at Loyola High School, and was a pretty accomplished runner in high school. Was all-state, all-metro, and went on the run in college and had a very successful road career. And then in my early 20s, just retired, ran a lot of miles and accomplished some times I wanted to achieve, and retired for 20 years and got back into running 3 years ago with the Baltimore Marathon as my goal, as my first marathon.
And how long did it take you to go from when you said, that's my goal, to being able to accomplish that goal? Was it a 3 month, 9 month?
I sat at my desk one day, and I was tired of coming home from work on a Saturday and watching the finish of the Baltimore Marathon every year. And I kept telling my wife, Patty, I'm going to do that next year. And year passed. So one day in April, I just signed up for it, and set that as my goal to do it in October.
All right. When did running in the Boston Marathon, which we've talked off the air, you said was the kind of the highlight, and this was your first Boston Marathon. How long ago did you set that in your sights?
Well, ever since I was running in high school, that's all we knew. Marathons just weren't as popular as they are today. You basically can go around the country any weekend and run, have your choice of marathons. So back in the early 80s, Boston, New York were really, the two, grandfathers.
They're the
two premier
events.
Marathons, and, that's all I knew.
You explained to me, though, Boston Marathon is not simply you sign up and say, hey, I feel like running today. You have to qualify.
Absolutely.
So how far in advance did you qualify for this year's Boston Marathon?
Well, I qualified last March in the B&A Marathon, and I ran a 3:14, and, for my age group at 47 last year, and the qualifying time is a 3:25, and I had not run a 3:25, so I was ecstatic to beat that qualifying time by so many minutes myself.
All right, so you knew several months ago you were running in this Boston Marathon.
Absolutely.
How'd you get up there, and take us through the day and what it was like, the exhilaration of running in that race?
Well, I left Baltimore on Saturday morning with two close running friends of mine, very active marathoners. They're well known in Baltimore, Kristen Crozer and Kevin Frick. He's a professor at the vice dean at the Johns Hopkins School of Business, and two great guys. And we had been looking forward to the trip for quite a few months, made all the travel plans, and we left Saturday, and that's all we talked about. Christian, this would have been his third Boston. For Kevin and I, we're both of the same age, and I've never beaten him in a marathon. He's always beat me by less than a minute, and he's, I call it getting fricked. He just sneaks up behind me. So we talked about our strategy, during the Boston race on Monday. But driving up, that's all we were talking about. All I wanted was the medal. I wanted to finish and have that a part of my life.
All right, we've got about 3 minutes, so I need to
Sure.
move this along. You finish, and you told me before, 29 minutes before the first bomb went off.
Correct.
What was that 29 minutes like if you think back on it now?
Well, it goes really quick. You cross the finish line, and the volunteers will give you your heat shield, your water, Gatorade, bananas, and make sure you're okay. And after a few minutes, you finally get to the medal table, and you're just elated by that. But then you go to a bus and you pick up your personal belongings that you left up in Hopkinton.
And you just head back to your hotel or wherever you're going to go?
I was looking for my friends, and I met up with them, and then we went into a hotel and just hung around and freshened up and changed our shirts and clothes. And half hour goes by, and you're walking to the subway, as I was telling you, and that's when the bombs went off. Thank God we were not in that immediate area. But here's what so many of us have a problem with is how close any of us could have been. I know people that were closer than I was. And everything you look to remember about the race, you still have those memories, but we're all part of history. And any big race that we run in the future, everybody's going to be thinking about something.
How
tragic.
will it affect you in the future as to whether you'll run again in Boston or any other marathon?
Oh, I would love to run Boston again. I would love to do it next year. Problem is you don't have many qualifying races during the summer, and the heat of the summer. So I don't think it'll be next year. But I think next year is going to be bigger, and better. And,
More defiant.
Yeah.
More defiant by the running population.
Right. But runners are strong. If you're running marathons, you're motivated. You've got your act together, and to keep putting in the miles to achieve what you want to achieve. It's a different kind of person that runs marathons. So for us to go up there and finish the race, we got our medal, and we were all just ecstatic. And I thought I would come home and with the medal around my neck, and I just put it in the bag and just said, wow. It's kind of like affected your purpose for running. And the poor teacher in Towson that lost her leg, and she's still up there in very critical condition. You can't stop thinking that it could have been you or your family on the sideline watching you finish, or any one of your running friends that went up with you.
Rob, I thank you for coming in
My
and
pleasure,
telling us
Stan.
all the details.
Thanks for having me.
Interesting. It's Rob Santoni from Santoni's Market. When we get back, we're going to take the pulse of the Orioles baseball season with our beat writer, Paul Fulkemer. Inside PressBox is presented by Friedmont Mortgage. Don't make a 30-year mistake by choosing the wrong lender. Go to Friedmont.com now for all of your mortgage needs.